We're back here on Debrief. More of our conversation with chairman of Israel's centrist Yesh Atid party, Yair Lapid. So, Yair Lapid, we've been talking about this two-week crisis around the Temple Mount. We've looked a lot at inside Israel and Israel vis-a-vis the Palestinians. What about Israel and the outside world? Because this crisis, like any crisis around this volatile holy site, draws heavy reactions from the Arab world. In this case, across the Middle East, including Turkey, a spat with a country that Israel has recently reconciled with. How challenging is that to Israel abroad?
Well, if I may, I think the reaction in the Arab world, maybe with the exception of Al Jazeera, was not as harsh as we expected it to be. I mean, they are preoccupied with other things as well. Of course, they said the things that you know they need to say in such occasions, but I mean, the pressure was not coming from there. But you're right in saying that there is an exception there, which is Turkey. I believe that it's, enough is enough. I think Israel needs to stop trying and reconcile with Turkey every 5 minutes. I mean, we have President Erdogan, who's an anti-Israeli, who's using a lingo which is sometimes on the verge of anti-Semitism and sometimes beyond, and who's made it, and he has become part of this Iranian, Qatari, Turkish axe, which is anti-Israeli. So we need to tell them, okay, we understand where you're going, so we can go to places we wanted to go for a long, long time, like supporting an independent Kurdish country, like saying it's time for us to recognize the Armenian Holocaust, where, I mean, I think us as Jews more than other nations need to do so, and we can have a policy that is A, more moral, and B, acknowledging that there's something fundamentally different with our relationship with Turkey. So this is about Turkey. Looking at around us, I mean, the Americans were not playing a huge role in this conflict. There were concerns. I mean, I was in the middle of a meeting with the American ambassador, with David Friedman. He starts getting phone calls in the beginning of all this, and I saw how committed he was to try and make sure things will calm down as quickly as possible. And the key factor, I think, is our relations with Jordan, that has proven to be under very, very difficult circumstances. If you add to what happened in Oman a few days ago, proved to be solid enough, at least, to help us go through this together.
You mentioned David Friedman. We know Jason Greenblatt has been in marathon meetings since the Trump administration. That, at least publicly, has been made a very big policy priority. I've also heard a lot in this studio that from both Israelis and Palestinians that there is an opportunity here for some kind of reset. How do you take that opportunity? If you're leading Israeli government, how do you sit down with President Trump, with Jason Greenblatt, with Mahmoud Abbas potentially, and say, let's move forward?
Well, I've been saying since September 2015 that we need to go regional. Since the Oslo Accords, there have been 11 rounds of bilateral talks, all came down to the same nothing. I mean, it's just people sitting and lying to each other. I was involved in the last round because I was in the government and was part of the negotiation team, and it was tired people saying tiring things to each other. So we need to take a different path, and the best path, and this is also adequate to the changes in the region, is to go to a regional conference with the Saudis, with the Egyptians, with the Jordanians, with several Gulf countries, and saying, okay, let's have a round table of all the players, because anyway, you cannot talk about Gaza if you don't bring the Egyptians in.
And
that's
despite the Saudi arms deal that you've criticized?
Well, yes. We have better informal relations with the Saudis than we had before. Of course, this administration is more than capable to talk with the Saudis and to bring them to the table. I think they're interested. Let me remind you that there is the Saudi initiative, which says, if you guys are game, we're going to be game too. And I think this is the right path, because what we need now is different dynamics and different mechanism in order to be able, or, you know, to enable some sort of a very careful beginning of talks. Of course, everything should be subjected to the biggest principle that Israel's security is going to be in Israeli hands.
So let's circle back to Israel, because we are here after all, and you are a leader in Israeli opposition. During the course of this crisis over the Temple Mount, we've seen the Israeli parliament advanced two very controversial bills, one with the rabbinate sort of taking control over conversions to Judaism, another with a so-called nation-state bill that would cement the Jewish nature of Israel in basic laws. What do you make of that timing and what's going on in this right-wing government right now?
I think this is politics over policies. This is, the Israeli government got scared by the idea that it won't consider right-wing enough for its base. So they decided they need to promote several bills in order to flatter their own, the more, actually, it's not even the base, the real right-wing, the extreme right-wing. This is counterproductive. I'm all for a bill that declares that Israel is the nation-state of the Jewish people.
Do you support this bill as it stands?
No, because the wording is important. Because this, for example, I'll give you one quick example. This wording is downgrading Arabic as the second formal language of Israel. This has no practical meaning, except from the fact it allows them to insult Arabs. Now, 20% of the Israelis are Arab Israelis, they're citizens of this country. We don't need to downgrade their language just in order to make sure somebody is, I don't want to say kiss ass to his own base, but I just did, so I guess. So what we need to do is have a bill that is, and we, by the way, we have put on Knesset's table, Yesh Atid, my party, put on Knesset's table a bill that talks about Israel as the nation-state of Jewish people, that was actually written by Benny Begin, who's a member of Likud and the son of the late Menachem Begin, that will have the same result without the damage.
Yair Lapid, chairman of the Yesh Atid party, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Nurit.